So we'll start with that first. And the first thing I look is there any wax inside? I would clean it out. If it's like a 1 piece or 2 piece, that I know that it's accident. But if it's a lot, then I know that you're not paying attention. This one right here, this might be the reason that the record base is not sitting, because you had the record base first and your blackout is here, so I wouldn't expect the wax to be on here. But then when you're finishing it, sometimes the wax drips in here. Yeah, so that's something to like be careful. Yeah. Again, if it's too much, then I know that okay, this is not like just grossly not paying attention at all. All right, so let's look at the first criteria. That's periphery, the outline extension, right? So it should mimic the denture base and then goes to full extension. So your clinically acceptable is like 1 to 2 millimeters short. If it's grossly short, we know that you're not paying attention to the anatomy. So if we look at this one, I know there's a little bit shrinkage, but if it's short like this, like it's not really touching all the way to the bottom, like this one, it's not really like touching, then I know that it's like you may end up here. Okay. Yeah, the same thing here. So like you see this one right here, so the bottom is this is the bottom of it, right? And I can see the blue line. So for example, like here, which you have it all the way to the bottom, like I can barely see the blue line. Yeah, so this is where like the record base needs to extend all the way down. Okay. So that would be here. Okay, so it'd be here, and I usually would write like, okay, and then the next one is the posterior border. It should end at the vibrating line, which we don't have it. I mean, we have it. It's right here. It's because this is a typical, so it's already like designed. So your record base should end. Yeah, it's a little bit overextended. It should end somewhere here.
So cut it back a little bit.
Yeah, you will have to cut it back a little bit. So that would be somewhere here because you're a little bit. It's a little bit too long. Okay. Yeah, and like this part right here. This is in the category of the extensions. It will be. You would have to see like. Actually, it's here. Sorry. Yeah. I think you should be fine with this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's just this part. It's a little bit overextended. And then the architecture of the record base and the flange. The flange is rounded and smooth. So this we're talking about finishing and polishing. So this is where I would walk around with my finger and see if there's anything sharp. You don't have to polish it at all, but at least make it smooth so we can try it in a patient mouth. Okay. And this one would be like slight roughness. It's like tiny bit, like a tiny spike, a little bit here and there, like probably 2 spots. Then it will be okay. You try to get all of it, but then you may not pay attention to those 1 or 2. Then it will be here. And then if it's like sharp everywhere or like jagged edge like here, then we know that you basically just missed that. That's when we go all the way here. Okay. So this one will be here, and this is fine. And then adaptation of the record base to the soft tissue. You see the gap? See the gap here? Yeah. So that would be, we're talking about the adaptation. So there is some gap. So they would be here. Okay. And then the structure and stability. We're looking at if everything is uniform thickness. Like sometimes people would have the border or the palatal area way too thin, and we can see that by like the amount of light goes through. We can also see that. Other way we can see is by measuring with the Bowley gauge. Okay, and so that's one thing. That's the uniform thickness. And the other one is if there's any rocking. So when we test the rocking, we test it like this. So sometimes I know that some of you don't have the cast trimmed properly, and this is why you're supposed to trim it properly so you don't, like it doesn't give you a misjudgment. It is rocking a little bit because when I stabilize the cast, this is rocking.
So how do you fix that?
Yeah, so for the rocking, if you didn't have the rocking at all after curing, then it's definitely the wax.
Okay.
And if it rocks after curing, then that's what I would look at. did you add material to like patch up the border? Sometimes if you do that and you didn't push it all the way down, the material gets hardened, and then that's when the rocking starts. So it's usually these scenarios. And
Can you add material to fix the rocking? Or take away material to fix the rocking?
you can. I would definitely do that. So it's kind of like.
And how do you like pinpoint where it's rocking?
So for example, this is rocking like this, right? So you have to pick one spot. Let's say this is without the wax ring, just the record base. You have to pinpoint one spot, and then I would add material from here. But make sure that you push it all the way down, because if you again then push this side, then this side is up, then there's no point of adding material. The seesaw will continue. You just want to pick one side, add material, cure it, and then trim the rest of it. Yeah, that's how I would do it. And let's say you add material, like before you add material, everything is good, it's stable, and after you add it, it starts rocking, I would trim the additional material that you just added, and then roll back to the last step. Yeah, but be very careful with the wax flowing in the inhalio surface. That's like, it happens. Alright, so let's look at so this one would be, I think it would be like, it's slightly rocking. Yeah, but if it rocks like crazy, then then it's not. It would end up here, so that would be here. And then let's look at the occlusal ring and the arch form. So it should represent the shape of the proposed arch form. So which is like kind of U-shape, right? This one is a little bit like you're aiming to the side. This is a little bit V. And there's a reason we're drawing the landmark, so you can position the ring like properly. Okay. So in the end, you want your ring to end up like here, because this is like the center of the ridge. Right? This is the center of the ridge. All right. And so I think this one is, you can make it slightly wider. Can I have all right. So you can compare these two. Like this one is more U-shaped, while this one is a little bit narrow on the anterior. And clinically, if you don't have enough space here, the patient's phonetics is going to get jeopardized. Not only the labial contour won't get supported, but also the phonetics. Okay, so we're looking for more like this. So these would be like this would be like slight narrow, but then it's not a lot. So if it's like only a little bit, I know that this column is 4 points. I would just do like 2 or 1 point, depending on like how severe it is, like based on the clinical judgment. If you can use it in clinic. And then for the last one, if it's grossly narrow or grossly wide, for example, it's all the way narrow, like it's so small, it's completely out of the reach, or you have so much wax that it's like right on top of the like land area, then of course that's not gonna work. All right, and then we'll look at the occlusal ring dimension. So it's 22 like plus minus 1. So this is where we measure it. I think this is also in the lecture, right? Like there's a slide where you can measure it. So we're measuring from this point. Okay. So it's not the labial frenum or buccal frenum. It's the deep portion of the vestibule. And I think this is great. Yeah, I think it should be fine. It's like 23, so it's good. And then we're gonna look at that's the anterior height, which is 22, and we'll look at the posterior height. So around the second molar area. And we know the second molar will be somewhere here, right? So if you're not sure where second molar is gonna go, just look for the deepest portion.
I didn't measure that yet.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So this is like 22 as well. So you wanna. So when I make wax ring, that's something I would do as well, like to measure everything, and then so 22 I need I think this much short. Right? So I would make a mark like how short it should be, right? So if I were to do adjustment or do self-assessment, I would do like first you do both sides. You want it to be, let's say 18. Okay. All right, so we know that anterior is the height is good already. The height is good. We're not adjusting the height. So what I do is I will connect that to the posterior. Okay, and that's how you can adjust the height. So you're only adjusting the height for the posterior. So this is a plane, right? Like this is a plane like this. You're basically tilting the plane up a little bit, and that's how we're gonna go for. All right, so that's So that would be like somewhere here, because this was not adjusted. right? It was like 22, which is a lot. Like this would be like a plus minus like one or two from here. So it's actually a big range. So we just need to pay attention and we need to adjust the posterior height. And then we'll look at the occlusal ring dimension, which is the width. So a lot of people had question on like where to adjust the labial or the palatal. So again, if you already have, let's say, incisive papilla 7 to 9 millimeter distance, then I would adjust from the inside. All right, so let's look at it. I think you have it. Yeah, it's 5 millimeter, and then yeah, like this is like 8, which is fine. But then that might be the reason that your wax rim looks a little bit narrow from the inside, because you have like 8 already at the premolar. So imagine if you have this much, like if you don't have this area, then the wax rim will look a little bit more curved. And of course, you need to add a little bit more wax here to get the curve. And let's look at the posterior, which is 10, which is it's fine. 10 is fine. Yeah. So overall, I think it would be like somewhere here, because of this. Yeah, and this one, but it's not gonna be so much of a major point deduction. If you have like 4, yeah, 4 would be all the way here. All right, let's look at the anterior overjet. So we're looking at overjet is the horizontal overlap. So we're looking at this part. There are 2 ways you can do it. You can either measure with the Alma gauge. Then you first identify that this is where the incisive papilla is, right? And then you put it here, make sure that it's pointing at the incisive papilla. And if you look at it now, see how we're aiming for 7 to 9 millimeter, and this is a little bit far, so you need to add it a little bit more. It should end somewhere here. So that means you need to add more wax to get the contour right. Okay, so that the patient lip will be properly supported. And in terms of the rubric, this is pretty far. So this almost look more like a retrocline, because again, we're looking at this part, and this part it looks more like this instead of going this way. Okay, and that's what the retrocline means. Again, like if you have the same thing, if you have it over, like way over, which is like 15 millimeter, that's way too much. Then you're gonna end up with the excessive overjet, which is like right here. So for now, this will be in this category because of the adjustment. Yeah. And okay, so that's with Alma gauge, or you can also use the Boley gauge. Just first set where your goal is, and then you lock it down. I usually set it like 8, so 7 to 9, then you have a tiny range, and then you can hold it like perpendicular, so you can see that this much of the contour is needed. Yeah, I'm supposed to bring the contour like all the way to this end. All right, and then let's look at the plane of occlusion, which is we want to make sure there's no cant, right? So this is where it's so important to trim the cast properly, because if you have the cast trimmed properly, there's no cant when you're looking at it, versus let's say for the mandibular arch, it's the same thing. You want to make sure there's no cant, but because the cast was trimmed a little bit slanted, so when you're looking at it, it looks kind of slanted, and it's kind of difficult for you to look at it. You actually have to hold it up like this just to see if you have the real cant or it's just the cast being canted. Okay. Yeah, so I think for this one, I usually hold it up and use the occlusal plane to look at it. Yeah, so I think it's a little bit canted, but then that's because these are the excess wax. Yeah. Okay. So once these wax are adjusted, usually you won't really have the cant. And then so for now it would be here. And then for the neatness, you want to make sure everything is clean. Like remember in the video, when I made the wax rim, there were a few voids here and there, and that's why I like fill up with wax. And the very last thing, like in the beginning, I checked it first, no wax in the intaglio surface. Yeah, so that's the same thing. It's like it's in this category. So this is fine. Yeah. All right, so that's the maxillary wax rim.